Good morning, Saturday morning, and I'm on my way over with the dogs to Grim's parents' place where we have all of our plants growing. So I think it needs some good old watering and maybe some harvesting. And it's quite a while since I showed you how big the plants have gotten. But I'm really excited to see. I think maybe I haven't seen it actually myself for a week. I've been really bad at watering. Well, because it's been raining a little bit, so I haven't felt like I needed to water. Anyway, so I'm going over and we'll see what we can harvest. Give it a good old water. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can take. Okay, so there were a couple of zucchinis that I could harvest here. We've got a couple of different sorts. This is the Lebanese white. This is some sort of special kind of zucchini that looks like this. And this is a little smaller version of that one. Yeah. And then this is our favourite kind of zucchini, which is just delicious. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, I think it's called courgette one ball. And then these ones also, we haven't eaten so many of these yellow ones, but I think that they are also delicious. So I'm just watering everything now. I'll show you quickly everything that we've got. Brussels sprouts, growing very slowly, but I think it's because they're in a little shaded spot, so they need more light. And then we've got some root celery, or some celeriac it's called. Celeriac, leeks, got some daikon radishes. Then we've got a special kind of winter squash here, which is quite big and nice and lovely. I'm going to leave it growing because it's not ready to harvest until winter, or like the end of summer. Then we've got different kinds of squash here. So here we have, yeah, now I've harvested things, but yeah, one type of squash. This squash that's growing here is a special heirloom variety, which is like, a very old species from 1700s that they developed. And then here we have some parsnips growing. You can see, you can't really see the parsnip bulbs right now, but you could before. Anyway, and then we have some onions, some spring onions that I'm actually going to harvest because there's lots of animals that have eaten up them, which is a little bit sad. So I'm just going to harvest them there. And then this is a flower that I got from my mum, the seeds. And then we have some more zucchini and squash types, lots of different types of zucchini and squash. And then over here we have fennel. So we've got some lovely fennel growing here. And then this is a special plant that tastes super duper sweet. A little bush, and I love it. I think it's absolutely delicious. It tastes of like licorice, but extremely like sugary as well. And then I'm just watering this poor little zucchini plant that I bought the other day, which is not having a good time. It's got really dry. And then I have some, it's called blackroot in Swedish, but I'm not sure what it's called in English. Look at this wonderful zucchini flower. So beautiful. So this is the free land, so everything that's growing just in the ground. And then I'm going to show you in a moment when I finish watering all of the little boxes. Okay, so continuing on to the boxes, you've got some white cabbage here, growing really nicely. The heads are really coming along. I'm not really sure how long I should wait before I harvest them, because I know that you can harvest them and they come back, so it's not like just one harvest per plant. And then here we have some celery that also should be able to harvest soon. So you just eat it just like that. I might harvest a couple of them. Oh, I might harvest a couple of them and make a vegetable soup tonight. But I think, for example, this one, we could maybe harvest this cabbage. But as you can see, it's been a little bit attacked by all of the little, what do you call it, little butterflies and larvae. Have been on all of my cabbages, unfortunately. Oh, what are you doing, Steve? Wow, and then here we have the Aztec broccoli, which is extremely high. Look, it's such a tall plant. It's like taller than me. I'm not that tall, but it's taller than me. But I'm not 100% sure when I'm meant to harvest it. And I've googled and I think I have to wait a little bit more. I don't think it's ready yet. So I'm going to wait a little bit more before I harvest it, because the whole plant is meant to get these little buds, and it's meant to get lots of them. So, but just now the tip of the plant has got them. So I'm going to leave it a bit more, because it's meant to really explode in these buds that you harvest and you have it. They call it sproccoli because it tastes a little bit like broccoli and spinach at the same time. So I think when it's time to harvest, I'm going to harvest them, and I'm going to just steam it and have it with a little bit of butter and salt. I think that will be the best option. And then in front of those we have some broccoli, some classic broccoli, which is growing and growing. So that's on its way, but that will take a little bit longer. And then over here we have some Savoy cabbage. Then we have some beetroots. I've been harvesting lots of beetroots, so this is a little bit sparse. We've got some gold beetroot there, which has gold flesh, and some normal red beetroots and special red beetroots. And then over here, unfortunately, my cabbages have been growing wonderfully, but they've been extremely attacked by lots of different insects and stuff. And I should have set up a little net on top, but I never did that. I really should. Anyway, so this is kale. This is a different type of kale. I can't remember the name for it in English. Then we have some red cabbage here. I think some extra cabbages here, probably Savoy cabbage. And some more kale. A couple of different sorts of kale varieties are growing at the same time. And then over here I have the mangold, which is called Swiss chard in English. So I've got some giant Swiss chard, it's called, this variety. And I just have a rhubarb Swiss chard here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been already harvested. This was some spinach and some salad leaves in the beginning of the season, or at the beginning of summer. And I'm just going to continue watering, and then I'm going to go down to the greenhouse and see what's happening there. See if we can take some tomatoes. So just a little summary of the harvest here today. So I picked those all of the little spring onions here, and then I picked the first cabbage, the first white cabbage, which is so beautiful, but it's so full of little insects. So I'm gonna have a little insect party when I open that later. Then I picked loads of Swiss chard here, full bag, and then I also picked a load of celery, which I'm really excited about. So I'm really keen on making a little vegetable soup, but I don't know if that's a little bit of a waste, because you kind of just want to taste everything as well, don't you? And not just put it all into a soup, because then you can't really taste the actual ingredients. So I have to have a think about what I'm going to do with everything. Hard to decide. Spoiled for choice. And now I'm going to go down to the greenhouse. Welcome to the greenhouse. Looking very good. Unfortunately, I've been really bad at watering it this week, so everything was a little bit dry and annoyed at me, but it will survive. Okay, let me show you everything that we've got here then. We have a couple of different kinds of chilies. Habanero chili. This is a Tabasco chili, which is doing really, really nicely. It's got loads of fruits. Then we've got some little poor chilies that aren't feeling so very well over there. They're having a little bit of a rehab over there. Let's see, we have a special kind of plant here. I can't really remember what it's called. I think it's called pepino, and it's a type of like a strange special type of tomato. It's not really a tomato, but it's related to the tomato plant. And this is a Bolivian coriander from Bolivia. It's a little bit dehydrated right now, but usually it has lovely, lovely leaves, and it tastes and has such a strong coriander aroma. And then this is a little melon plant. And then let's see, over here we have the aubergine plants. These ones here. So you can actually see that there's a little baby aubergine growing here, which is absolutely amazing. Look at that little baby aubergine growing. Incredible. So we've got lots of little aubergines that will be coming on their way. That's very exciting. Lots of aubergines. And then in here we have the tomatoes. So you can see we've got a couple of tomatoes that are all already ready to pick. And it's just an abundance of tomatoes in here. Absolutely amazing. And they're really quite big. They're so much bigger than what I had expected. I thought they were going to be some kind of small cherry tomatoes, but these are like for real huge tomatoes. It's incredible, and they're so like a jungle. So along the back we have two different sorts, a couple of different plants, or a couple of plants but only two sorts. So this one that's orange here, that's Jen's cherry vine tomato it's called. And then the other sort that we have growing here is, you can see one there maybe, which is called the chocolate cherry negro or something like that. And then we have two other plants which are a different variety. I can't remember the names of them, but they're bush tomatoes, so they're not vine tomatoes. We've got this one here that has a really fun shape, and then we've got these ones here, which also a fun shape there. Yeah, and then also we have some special Siberian chilies, which grow upside down. You can see that. So this is feeling really good in here. You can see that there's lots of chilies that are going to be on their way soon. They're growing upwards. We've got another chili. There's also lots of snails in here that have been eating everything. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I keep finding little stray tomatoes that I think have fallen off because I've been so bad at watering this week. So I'm going to just keep them, and I'll let them just be ripe indoors. So that's the tomatoes, and then over here we have another aubergine plant, which is the same as the other smaller plants, but this one's got a bigger pot, so it's just growing a little bit more successfully. It's got a little aubergine that will be growing there and there, and it's a little bit slower growing than the ones that have been growing in pots, smaller pots, to be honest, which is quite surprising. But I think in the end it will be a very successful harvest for that one. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, and then we have the cucumbers, which I'm going to harvest today. They're doing lovely and they taste amazing. And then we have all of this plant here, all of this stuff here that you see with the little yellow flowers. It's tomatillos with the little lanterns. So after they have had a little flower, that flower becomes a little lantern. And inside the lantern, you probably won't be able to see, but inside the lantern there's a little green tomato. So that's exciting. It's going to be lots of chutneys and stuff like that I'll be using them for. We have some extra chilies here, and then outside I have a little bit of outdoor plants here, exactly the same kind of plants that are growing indoors, but it's just quite fun to compare how they grow indoors to how they're doing outdoors. So for example, these green lanterns here, these green tomatoes, they have a completely different colour and robustness outside. And then this is also an aubergine, which is doing really well, but it's just a little bit slower. And the same with this one here, also an aubergine. And then I have a little random selection of different... This is our ginkgo tree. And then, let's see, I've got This is a little bit of a scandalous area because it looks chaotic, but I've just left these tomatoes to just do whatever they want to do. And there's a couple of fruit, and it'll be exciting to see how they feel. But they have been, and some aubergines here as well, but they have been very prone to getting eaten up by different animals. So no, that's just my experiment. But I'm really pleased with how everything's turned out inside the greenhouse. Wonderful, everything is really growing, and there'll be a really fun tomato harvest. I would probably like a little bit more cucumbers, just to make some nice salads with. So that's the only thing that I wish for. A little bit more cucumbers would be really great, just to make the Polish miseria, which is my favourite cucumber salad. So I'm just going to continue watering in here, and then I'm going to pick some tomatoes and the cucumbers, and then I'm going to go home. Just look at the colour of this tomato, it's amazing. Must be incredible. Just a quick appreciation for this lovely little plant. It's called a palette plant or something like that. I can't really remember, but I got it from my lovely friend, and she grew it herself, and apparently you're meant to like cut it and prune it and stuff. I'm not entirely sure if I will do that, but that's if you want it to be like a bush. It doesn't have any flowers, it just grows like this, but I think it's so cute. Here's a quick update on our African plants. We've got the Pachapodium and a couple of aloes and the edible ice plants and the other little cactuses, growing very slowly but surely. So I thought it would be fun to just show you what I'm planning to do with all of the vegetables that I harvested today. So I'm not going to do any special cooking today because I need to go shopping first for the stuff, and I don't need to go into town today, but I will be going into town tomorrow because I'm going to get my vaccination for COVID. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to go into town and get a few things for a different range of recipes that I want to try out with the vegetables. But today all I've done is I took the spring onion and I'm doing a Korean pickle. So I just chopped them up a little bit into little smaller pieces. I chose the ones that were quite small. And then, so I've got them in my little pickling jar. And then over here I've cooked some soya sauce with some sugar and some mirin because I didn't have any rice wine vinegar. And a little bit of white wine vinegar as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice, and then I'm going to pour in that liquid that I was cooking over there. And then I'll have some nice pickled onions. Very exciting. Looking forward to trying that out. And now I'm going to make a cup of tea and go up and lie in bed and do some reading. New project before I go upstairs. I'm going to grind some zucchini with my little grinder. I was thinking of using the metal grinder, but I'm not really sure. I've never used it. So I'm just going to use the function, which is just a little grater. So it's like a mechanic grater. It's going to grate down my zucchini because most of the recipes just need grated zucchini. So I'm just going to make a big old batch of grated zucchini and freeze the zucchini because I think that's the best way to keep the zucchini because we have so much of it in the fridge. Got like a whole shelf load of zucchini that we need to use. Okay, so I'm done with all of the zucchini. I've left a couple, so that's all that's left. And the rest I've actually managed to grate down with that machine into some big boxes of zucchini, which I've now put in the freezer. and hopefully it will be good. And then I also have a load of it in the fridge as well, ready for if we want to use it for making anything with zucchini. So I couldn't stop myself and I had to continue cooking. It's so much fun. So what I've done now is I've made a batter for zucchini pancakes, or zucchini fritters as it's called in the recipe. So I'm following the Great Dixter cookbook to make some courgette fritters. There we go. Should look like that. We'll see what happens. So basically I've just used the grated zucchini that I prepared earlier, and I've mixed it with a little bit of parmesan, some self-raising flour and some pepper. I haven't added salt, even though it's meant to be with salt, but I didn't add it because there's enough salt in the parmesan. You can always salt it later. And then what else have I done? And then I just added a little bit of some eggs from Christina's chickens. So some fresh eggs in there too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So I'm going to cook them now. They look amazing! Look at this! Oops! Oh my goodness, upside down. Look at them. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Sunday afternoon, I'm on my way to vaccinate against coronavirus. Yeah. Excited? Let's do this. Yes, I am vaccinated. Dose 1, dose 2, a little bit over 1 month away. Nice, 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 nice. Feel empowered. I stopped in Ystad Plantskola, which is a really cute little gardening centre on my way home. It's very close to where we live. And I maybe went a little bit crazy with buying things. Who is surprised? I shopped some Moroccan things, which I'll have to show you later when I get home. But how cool is this? They're imported from somebody that lives in Ystad, but she imports them directly from Morocco, so they're like genuinely from Morocco, these things. Isn't that fun? Okay, so this is my little haul from the plant shop. So these are the Moroccan different pottery things that I bought. This gorgeous vase. This amazing big bowl slash serving dish. This wonderful bowl. Another wonderful bowl. And it's all made in Morocco. I think it's fantastic. It's so beautiful. And then I also bought a little fig plant and a nice little pot to go with it that I'm going to put upstairs. Yeah. Okay, so I've been busy cooking all afternoon and I'm now finished. And so what I've made is I pickled the celery from yesterday. So now it's all nice and pickled with some apple cider vinegar, sugar, cloves and water. Then with the cucumbers I made some Polish mizeria, which is my favourite little surówka salad. And then over here I made these little phyllo pastry swirls, which are called borek, and they're filled with the mangold. And then in here I have some Indian stir-fried cabbage. So that's all waiting ready to eat for when Grim gets home. Hopefully he'll be home soon. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of my arm from the vaccination. A little bit of pain. Hopefully I'll be able to work tomorrow. No flu symptoms yet, but we shall see.